Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm joined here by Hans and Toby of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo,
It's a
which
mouthful.
it's a but yes, we are here to be discussing for convention discussion about the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, which whichever whoever wants to go first of how long it's been going on for.
Well, it's been going on, actually not in Portland, but in Seattle since 1997. That's where it got its start.
Oh, so it's been going on
It's
for
a
around 20 years then.
Yeah, and it was a super small, just a couple of handful of gamers getting together, and there was a local arcade that used to do like Atari 2600 championships,
Ooh.
and then it kind of grew bigger and bigger, and bigger meaning maybe 250 people. And then it kind of turned into work. And then in the early 2000s, in 2000 and Toby, when was that? 2008, I think.
2006 is when
2006.
Rick moved to Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah. So Vancouver, Washington, right across the Columbia from Portland, and so that's when it started in Portland. So 18 years ago.
Oh wow. But the fact that it's been going on for like 20 plus years, that's crazy. Kind of like San Diego Comic Con, how it just started as something small, and then it's just like over time it's gotten bigger and bigger and more people because I'll say this, you can never, yeah, as much as modern gaming is out there, you can never beat the classics in my opinion.
Well, and we're calling it Portland Retro Gaming Expo, but it's like any gaming, like modern gaming,
Oh,
uh,
nice.
retro gaming, video games. But there's also tabletop and Dungeons and
Oh,
Dragons,
nice.
all of that stuff, and all the fandom stuff around it. Like we had last year, we had a VHS swap meet, which was super popular, and like all the
Oh,
obsolete media stuff, right? And then
nice.
everything else that goes with it, cosplay, which I know is your thing,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Nice.
anything pop culture related really is sort of our
Right.
wheelhouse.
Nice. So, Toby, how did you come about being part of this team for the Retro Gaming Expo?
I started collecting video games in the mid 90s and found out about this group and went to some of the events in the Seattle area in the very late 90s, early 2000s. And when it moved to the Portland area, I was a vendor. I was a vendor at the very first one and basically every year after until I sort of retired from being a video game dealer. But then after a few years of just being a vendor, I started helping out a little bit and just it sort of grew. And then we became more of an official organization with a board, and we registered as a nonprofit. And that's really when it sort of the modern era of PRGE began, I think.
Nice. From what I've seen, I found out about this I want to say it was from a friend of mine who came out through Instagram. I found out it somehow. So shout out to whoever mentioned it to me. But yeah, it's like retro game. Oh, I like this. This is cool. I've never like I've heard of gaming expos, but like a retro gaming expo, I don't think I've ever heard of before. So like
Yeah, we were sort of inspired by the classic gaming expo that used to happen in Las Vegas in
Mhm.
the late 90s and through the
I've
2000s.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of our inspiration.
Yeah.
Nice. So back to you, Hans. Have you been? I take it you've been with this since the beginning.
I was one of the co-organizers when the event was in Seattle. And then, the reason why it moved to Portland is there were a couple of people here in Seattle that organized it, and we were all getting super busy at work. There were some Boeing employees, some Microsoft employees. And so, you work 60, 70 hours a week, then there's not much time to do conventions. And so that's when Rick in Portland took over. And then I kind of dropped off for a few years, but I was still taping a lot of the panels to make them available for people who couldn't watch them live at the show because there's so much to do, right?
Oh yeah,
And
there is.
yeah, and then I got back into it a few years ago, and it's been awesome.
Nice. Well, you answered my question and why you switched it from Seattle to Portland. So that brings me up to my next question for you guys. How'd you starting with Toby, how'd you feel about when it was moved to the Portland Convention, the Oregon Convention Center in Central Portland?
Yeah, so that was sort of a goal of ours from when we very first started, when at least when I started being involved in it. We started in small like hotel ballrooms and sort of moved up, as you do from
Hmm.
500 person venue to a 2,000 person venue, and at one point we started looking into having our show at the Oregon Convention Center, and it was just way beyond our budget. So it sort of was a goal, and then as our show grew and we all of the people involved put more and more of an effort into it, it became possible. And we've been working with the Oregon Convention Center for 12 years or something or more. I'm not sure what the year is, Hans. You might remember the exact
Mm,
year, but
yeah,
yeah, and we've been there ever since. And in that space, we've also grown almost every year.
right.
Oh yeah,
It
no, I
used to
mean,
be one of the halls, and then a few years later we added a second hall and the third hall, and like this year we added yet another hall. I think we're close to actually having the whole thing, which that's
Yeah.
another goal because it will make logistics easier,
oh
right?
yeah, I mean, it works with
Um,
Con, it works with Rose City, where people
yeah,
are just wandering around almost the whole center, like their other two cons, because I know the Oregon Convention Center is popular with conventions and expos and everything.
right. And it'll make it easier for us because then we can just check badges on the
Hmm.
outside doors instead of at the individual halls. Yeah, and I think to Toby's point, some things were beyond our budget. We're nonprofit, so we're not. There's not a lot of money behind this, and so we're always kind of wanting to make sure that whatever we do, we can afford, so we can still do another convention next year. So we've been careful to grow this, but I have to say Portland's been awesome, and the OCC has also been super collaborative with us.
Oh yeah, I mean, as I've said it many times, here in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Idaho, Oregon, like it when it comes to fandom stuff like this, any convention center will like want to jump on that because not only does it bring in money, but it brings in more people to visit the states itself and the fans and everything. For you, Hans, how's it been having it at the Oregon Convention Center for like the past couple of years now?
I think it's great because we have a lot of different areas that we can do different things in. So, as you know, we've got this huge free play arcade, and we've got all these panels, right, where like alumni or VIPs or actors or whatever come in, YouTubers come in and do presentations, and it's great to be able to kind of spread out. And so you have like people playing rock band super loud in one room, and then people doing panel presentations, or like this year we have the cast from the original Mortal Kombat there, and then they can talk in another
Ooh.
room, and they don't run into each other, right? They don't interfere with each other, and then it just allows us to do lots and lots of things without stepping on each other's toes. So
Oh yeah,
it's
I mean,
awesome.
makes foot traffic a whole lot more easier too.
Yeah,
It's also really nice the different types of spaces that we have available to us. So we have these giant halls where most the vendors are and where they always have events for other conventions. But we also have these smaller meeting rooms for things that need to be a little more intimate, or some of the ballroom spaces for something where we need it to really be even more private or a little more upscale.
Oh yeah, no, like for example, I know they used one of the ballrooms at Con last year for their cosplay chess, which, again, the more it grows, the more space you're gonna need, the
right.
more space for more things to do, which I think from what I've gathered from you guys, it seems like you've definitely got throughout the years, and especially this year. From I think you were telling me, Hans, that you had like what over 20 something thousand people attend or something.
So last year, over the 3 day weekend, right? It's basically Friday noon all the way until Sunday at 5. We had around 27,000. And then, this year we hope it's going to be more.
I mean,
Um,
it sounds like there's gonna be more.
yeah, I mean, we're certainly hoping so. And I think so far it looks really good. And, some of the guests that we have this year, which is kind of new for us, we have more actors meaning either voice actors or motion capture actors from video games. So
Nice. I
we've
mean,
got
that's what makes a convention. Are not just like the, the vendors and everything and the events, but like having guest actors as well also helps make a convention like, hey, we
right.
we're getting these guys, more people would definitely want to come.
Yeah, we hope so. And we're trying very hard to kind of have a balance and something for everything for everyone, right? So if you're like into hardcore retro games, you'll find your Atari, your Nintendo 8-bit, your Super NES, Sega, Genesis, and all of that. If you're more into like retro home computing, old Windows PCs, or the old Atari and Commodore machines, there's a new section for that. If you're into actors and celebrities, we have plenty of that. And so it's like no matter what kind of aspect of fandom, geekdom, nerdvana you have, there'll be something there for you. And since I know you're partial to that cosplay, Manny is doing his cosplay contest, which I think is going to be awesome again with lots of cool prizes. So
Ooh.
yeah, lots of stuff, competitions and auction, and anyway, we can get into
Something,
that later.
something
Oh
for
yeah.
everyone.
I
Yeah.
mean, from the picture you guys sent me for the thumbnail, I mean, you can get a general idea of like how packed it can get.
And that's only a small part. I think that's so we got another hall this year, kind of the size
Nice.
of this. So it's getting I think it's about 200 and it's a little over 250,000 square feet this year.
That's a lot. I remember walking into Komoricon. There's the vendor hall, and then next they have like the gaming room where you can play consoles and everything, which is like okay. That's again the fact that you guys have this. Back to you, Toby. What's been some of your favorite things about the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, from whether it's been in the recent years or the past few years or some stuff recently?
Um, I mean, for me, my favorite part of the show is just seeing friends that I really only get to see that one time per year. You know, people from that video game collecting community. So that's my favorite aspect of the show. But I also really enjoy the panels, the auction, the cosplay contest. I'm always super impressed with the people that
Yep.
make their own, crazy costumes. It's like not my world. So it's just so impressive to me when I see the work that these people have done.
Oh yeah, no, I think having a cosplay contest for something like this, people are gonna jump up on, they hear cosplay contest, like, ooh, even if they don't attend the cosplay contest, the fact that they just want to dress up as their favorite video game or character from whatever source of media, they'll jump on it.
Yep.
Same question for you, Hans. What's been some of your favorite things, whether it's been in the past or recently from the expo?
Oh boy. Uh, there's so many. So I agree with Toby. The people, it's so much fun to meet people once a year that you otherwise don't see. And I've run into people from literally all over the world. Last year I ran into some. So I'm originally from Germany. I've lived in the United States for over 30 years, but last year I ran into a German guy on the show, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember seeing you on YouTube. That is just so bizarre. And anyway, so there's a lot of that. I think personally, there's two things that I really like about the show. It's first, it's all this obsolete media stuff, whether it's like old VHS tapes or laser discs or anybody remember CED discs. It's kind of like LPs, but with video on it. Like really obscure things that you just don't see anywhere else.
Mm.
And that's kind of cool. And a lot of times it's working, or, somebody's demonstrating it at their booth, which is just like awesome. And this stuff is 30, 40, 50 years old, and they still got it to work, which is great. And the other thing is the panels. Personally, I love the panels. There are a lot of kind of industry alumni, which, I mean, if you think about it, video gaming started in like the mid late 70s.
Oh
Some of these
yeah,
folks,
it did. I've seen what like old video game cartridges from the 70s used to be
yeah.
like and everything.
So the programmers and designers of these are getting, they're getting kind of old. And I think the opportunity to talk to these people and listen to their stories, that's just amazing. It's like, if you're into flying, if you're like into airplanes and you get a chance to talk to the Wright brothers, that's kind of the feeling for me, where I'm like, oh wow, and which is amazing. And all these guys are super friendly, and the men and women of the early industry days and current industry, they'll chat with you afterwards. They'll sit down with you, they give you autographs, or you know just they're totally approachable. And these are the guys that created your childhood memories, which is that's kind of cool.
Oh no, it is the fact that you're having like this older generation of people who've been doing this for a long time to get the chance to share it with
Right.
kids, especially, especially like, the younger generation nowadays. They're not they may not know this. I mean, yeah, their parents may have like an old Super Nintendo or an old, Commodore 64 or something. And like, but like I feel like something like this you can show everyone, not just like like certain amount of people, but you can show everyone all this stuff that no one's probably seen in like over 20, 30 years, you know?
We see this all the time, where like mom or dad, they go through the show floor with kids in tow, and the kids are like, oh, this kind of looks blocky and the graphics aren't great, and mom is like, let's sit down, I'm going to school you on whatever, right? And then it goes, whether that's like old school NES or Sega or Atari or whatever. And it's anyway, we got this kind of these retro setups with old couches and
I saw pictures of that, like the old living room setup of
yeah,
like
exactly. And it's awesome, and the kids love it, and of course the parents are like, all right, finally, this is the first time I'm going to beat you in a video game in years.
Now I've also noticed, you guys can both chime in on this. I think I'm not, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I saw in one of the pictures pinball machines, I think it was.
Hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of pinball machines every year as well.
Nice. What made you guys want to add in pinball machines to this place?
So for more than 12 years, I would say, we've been partnering with Ground Control and some other local arcade collectors and businesses to bring arcade games and pinball machines to our show. So, I mean, people just love the opportunity to play those things for free, when in almost every other avenue, you have to pay something to pay these games, whether it's, by the hour or by the game or whatever. So we're offering the chance for people to play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of console games, hundreds of arcade games and pinball machines, all included with your admission to get into the event.
Nice. Speaking of, how much are tickets? Like, what's the price to get in for the con, whether it's just for one day or all 3 days?
The kids tickets, which those are the cheapest, they start at $15, and that's for kids. And then if you want to go for just one day, that's $30. And then I think weekend ticket is probably the best. That's 65. And like Toby said, that includes everything. So the only thing that you might have to pay separate for is if you get any kind of celebrity autographs or things like that. But competitions all included. We don't charge extra for that, which I know a lot of conventions do. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, we decided, hey, let's just do one price. And, you get everything, and then everything, the panels and the free play and all of that, that's all in there.
Nice. Now for the next question, because we kind of talked about it, actors. When did you guys start bringing actors in, and what's that been like having actors from then compared to now? Since you guys, like you said, you're having some of the classic '90s MK actors coming along. You both can chime in on this. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll let Hans speak on this because I think
Okay.
he's
Okay.
a little more up to speed on these guests, because it's kind of a new thing for us this year. Usually what we've had in the past for guests are alumni, like we were speaking about before, and famous YouTubers. So we may have had one or two in the past, but this is the first year we're sort of going big on voice actors and these actors that appeared in video games.
Nice.
Yeah, so one thing that we try to do, and it hasn't happened every year, but all the people that went to the show and gave us their email address, we do a survey. And one thing that's popped up frequently was, hey, why don't you bring some of these, classic video game actors? And when I say classic, like arcade or home console, or the super popular
Mm.
games that everybody remembers. And so we started looking into this, and there's kind of three groups we're doing this year. There's the Mortal Kombat crew, this is the
Nice.
original arcade game, and then a
Oh,
lot of these
nice.
guys also appeared in the different home consoles,
Mm.
which are the Pacina brothers and Hosam,
Uh,
Elizabeth Malaki and Richard Divizio. These are super fun guys, and a lot of these guys went on to act in movies like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
mm.
and they've been doing a lot of stunt work. So that's the one group, the Mortal Kombat crew. Then we're bringing in the Super Mario Brothers folks. So we've got Samantha Kelly, who is Princess Peach and Toad.
Oh,
We got Laura Faye Smith, who is Princess Rosalina, and then
nice.
Kenny James, who is Bowser.
Oh,
And
nice.
those three guys are just, again, it's a fun group, and we're trying to bring groups of people. And then the third group is the Resident Evil crew from the 2002 GameCube release,
Oh
which
yeah,
got,
the remastered of the
yeah,
first game.
yeah, and it
Nice.
got rave reviews, sold super well, and was one of my favorite games.
Oh
Just
no, it definitely is
horror survival,
seeing a modern graphic version of the original Resident. That is awesome. Like people like I think I like that when cons have surveys like, hey, what would you like to see this year or next year? And it's like, well, we want to, and then like, and I know from experience, trying to get guests to come on for whether something like this or for it's not always easy, depending on who
right,
they are, what their schedule's like, and how well known they are.
right. And we decided to try this. So this year is something like Toby said that's kind of new for us, but we also wanted to get some kind of very iconic characters. So I don't know if you played Twisted Metal in the days. Sweet.
I've played. I haven't played Twisted Metal since the PS1.
Okay, so Sweet Tooth, J.S. Gilbert, he's awesome. He's done, and some of these guys they're known for one or two games, but they've also done hundreds of other things. So J.S. Gilbert, and then Paul Eiding, who did like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid, and all these others. So it's a trial for us, really. It's a guinea pig.
Mhm.
And I think so far what we've seen with fan reactions on social media seems to land really well.
Oh yeah,
And
no.
and the nice thing is a lot of these people will do panels as well. They'll talk about, kind of, hey, this is how we did this, and the experience, but then they'll also be available for autographs and photos and things like that. So you get to meet them, and then if you do want an autograph, you probably have to pay a little extra, but just meeting them and chatting with them in panels and hearing their stories, it's available for everybody.
Oh yeah, no. And you were also talking about how you guys got the voice announcer from some old NBA, NHL games, who's best known for who's best known for the
Boom
Boom
shakalaka.
Shakalaka. Yeah. I just recently saw that on your guys' Instagram, how you got him as well as a guest.
So
Yeah,
there's
as
oh, go ahead, Toby.
as Hans was saying, he's a character.
Oh yeah, so much fun. And I think he used to be. I think I remember he used to be a comedian in
Hmm.
Chicago, and you can tell his panels are. I mean, if you're not laughing at the panels, there's something wrong with you. He is so funny. Some of it might not be the most appropriate for little children, but you know, it's such a riot. So anyway, he's going to be there. Oh, do you remember Nick Arcade? I don't know if you ever watched that as a kid, or Nickelodeon Arcade.
I haven't seen it since like the late 90s.
Phil Moore, the host of that, is going to be at the show. He is
Nice.
super fun. Yeah, and there's so many others, and I know we only talked about the voice actors and you know, motion capture actors. There's so many other folks that are coming, like, you know,
Nice.
YouTubers like Toby mentioned. And
Nice. So now on, you guys were doing having cosplay contests this year. What was that? What was that like when you started it compared to what it's gonna be like doing it now? Whoever wants to chime in first.
So it was extremely informal when we first did it. I don't even remember like how it was judged, but it was just, I mean, this is like before social media was even popular, so it was probably just an announcement via email or on like a flyer or something. So there was only like a handful of people that you know, participated. But I think we've kind of become a little more professional since Manny McIver has been involved with it, and every year he's got his own, you know, crew of judges, and it's just a really fun event. I think everyone really likes to watch the contest. And like you were saying before, there are some people that just want to dress up and walk around and not really be an official part of the contest. And of course, we welcome that also.
Nice. And I've noticed you guys also have a link for those who want to sign up online. I'm gonna just show this
Yep.
for real quick. Um, Same question for you, Hans. What's been like having having cosplayers attend and having the cosplay contest?
well, I mean, more than anything, I'm always blown away by some of the costumes. So I kind of, it started with people just walking around in cosplay, and you know, you started seeing more and more of that at the convention. And you know, naturally there's, we said, hey, there's going to be a competition, and it's grown every year. And you know, I'm not up on all the different anime characters, so a lot of times I'm like, I don't, I don't recognize that character. It's
Oh,
probably not a video game.
I'm the same way too. Trust me.
Yeah. And I'm, you know, for a while, at least video game wise, I'm like, okay, I know all of these guys. But yeah, it's amazing. And some people go all out with, you know, with huge foam applications and 3D printing and whatever, and others are just super creative. So I think really all levels, you know, whether you're like amateur beginner or like professional cosplayer, that there's a place for you in the contest. And we have
Nice.
different kind of classes so that it's fair to everybody.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's super fun. If you watch some of those videos online, it's just, you're just blown away by the diversity of participants and costumes, and you know, and different fandoms where it comes from. It's just amazing.
Nice. Now, do you guys ever plan on, because I know I know quite a bit of cons do. Do you guys ever in the future, depending on how well received it may be, do you guys ever plan on having cosplay guests at the con?
We've had some in the past, and I think we'll have more in the future. I'm trying to remember who that was. Toby, you remember?
Yeah, yeah. His name is Jesse, and he was on a reality television show about
I know
cosplay.
what you're talking
He lives
about.
in Portland. Jesse Loggers.
Heroes of Cosplay. I remember.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
I remember
we
I
also
seen
Decent
his
show.
cosplays. Oh yeah.
we also had a lady just before the pandemic. She was doing like cosplay how to.
Yeah. Yes,
Um,
I don't remember her name, but yes,
yeah,
we have had
she
some
was
like
awesome.
professional cosplayers. Yes. And
Nice.
just to answer your question about expanding that, it's something that we're definitely interested in, but we don't want to become a cosplay convention. I mean,
Right.
we do like to have a broad spectrum of things and sort of not be just about any one thing, even retro games, even though
Oh no,
that's the main
no,
thing.
that
But
makes total
we're
sense.
definitely open to expanding that.
Yeah.
I guess I don't think really we've had the connections to make that work and bring in those people, the guests as well as the fans of those guests. So it's
Right.
something we would definitely look towards in the future.
Well, I hope whoever's watching this will want to like maybe like hit you guys up and everything. So
Please.
another thing before we wrap this up, I want to I saw that you guys have you posted on July 11th about join the team, become a whoever wants to chime in this up, become a one-up volunteer. What's that all about, if you guys don't mind me asking?
So one-ups are what we call our volunteers, and we are a 100% volunteer-run organization from the board down. We're a 501c4 nonprofit. So we're volunteers that run the board, and then we have volunteers at the show helping in every aspect of the show. So it's a real community. There's some people that come back year after year. It's like one of their most favorite things to do every year. And also we want more people to be involved with that and join that community. So that's what we're asking for, is if you want to be a bigger part of the show than just attending it, then consider joining. Also, if you just want to get into the show for free, it's a way you can do that. You can basically earn your ticket by volunteering.
Nice.
Yeah, and just to be clear, that if you volunteer, you volunteer for a shift or two. That doesn't mean you're going to be busy for the whole weekend. You do your shift, and then after that, you're like going to the show and
Yep.
basically got a free weekend pass to do all these things we talked about. And there's T-shirts and there's swag and there's a party that we do with volunteer. Anyway,
Oh,
there's other stuff.
nice.
So that's a great way to attend the show and volunteer on the side. And so yeah.
Nice. So lastly, I'll start with you, Hans and Toby. First, Hans, what are you looking forward to the most about the show this year?
Wow. So like I said in the beginning, to meet all these people that I see once a year, there's probably three people that are video game industry alumni that I'm looking forward to the most. Just because they're some of my childhood heroes. One is Jeff Minter. He did, a lot of the early kind of home computer games. He did light synthesizers on like
Ooh.
the original. Remember when you put like a music CD on the original Xbox and it started playing these kind of
Oh yeah, I remember.
colorful
I used
things?
to love doing that when I had an original Xbox back in the day.
Yeah, so he wrote
Oh.
these games and he wrote, I think I have one of his other light synthesizers here. He did a lot of that stuff.
Ooh.
So he's going to be there. And then Scott Adams, who wrote some of the early home computer adventure games. These were like text adventures where you say, like you type in your command and then it's like an interactive story.
Oh, and
Um,
I've seen a lot of the those store those yeah, I can't remember what they're called, but I've seen those a lot.
Interactive fiction, I
Yeah,
think it's.
interactive. Yeah, yeah, I've seen
And
those.
then
Nice.
the last person I'm looking forward to is Ross and Stoll, the Vid Kid. If you go to YouTube and you type in Vid Kid Johnny Carson,
Hmm.
uh, in the early 80s, he was a kid and he started writing a video game column, and all the adults were like, "Oh, there's this new thing, video games," and he's a kid that knows what he's talking about. And so there was this kid that kind of became a nationally syndicated journalist, and that's something that you today you're like, oh my god, that all happened without social media. But it's awesome because he did that in a world of adults and made it on TV and daytime news shows and whatever. So he's going to be at the show as well. So these are the three people I'm looking forward to, and then just the general mayhem and fun at the show.
Nice. Same question for you, Toby. What are you looking forward to the most about this year's show?
Yeah, so as Hans mentioned and I mentioned before, definitely the number one thing is just to see my friends. So I moved from Portland and the United States of America in 2021. So this is my one and only time in the year to come and visit my friends. So that's the number one thing. But also, and this is really the thing that is the best part of the show for me, and it's the reason that we put on the show, is just to see the joy from the people attending the show. When the doors open and these people that have been waiting out there since 6 a.m. or whenever they could get their way in to be first in line, when they come in, just the look on their face, it's makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
Nice. Again, from what I've seen, and I also follow you guys on YouTube now. I saw some of the clips from the last show. I'm just like, one of these days when I can, I want to go myself to experience this because, like, someone who's been a fan of this stuff for like, the past 20 years and everything, stay going to my grandma's place and playing Super Mario World with her, Donkey Kong Country with her, and a bunch of other obscure Super Nintendo games and everything. It's like this is like this is something cool to see because you don't really see a whole lot of this. I mean, you again, you have PAX West in Washington, but like having something like this, similar but different in a sense, is really cool to see.
Yeah, I'd love to have you. Come on by.
Oh yeah, no. Finally, when will the 2024 show be? What dates and times and everything for those who are listening or watching this who may not be familiar with it?
So it's
It's
going to be,
September.
yeah.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Hans.
Toby. No, you go.
September 27th to 29th at the Oregon Convention Center.
Nice. And to you, Hans, what time does it start? What time does it end?
Starts at noon on Friday, the 27th, and then, goes until Friday night, then Saturday until evening, and then Sunday it ends at 5.
That
And so, yeah, 3 days, 2.5 days of fun.
that's pretty. I think that's pretty standard for a lot of conventions. Is like first 2 days, and then sometimes there's always that the unofficial day zero. People will want to come in and get their badges right away and just walk around the con just to see what it would be like the next 3 days, which I think is always cool. I think that should do. Oh yeah, real quick. Social media, Hans. Where can people find you guys, and where can people find the social medias for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo?
So we have Facebook. Just look for Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Instagram, same thing, Portland Retro Gaming Expo. On X/Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on YouTube as well, Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And then the website is retrogamingexpo.com. And that's where you have ticket links and all of that. And a lot of the social media posts will also have ticket links. Not on TikTok yet. We're working on that. So stay
I
tuned for that.
can't wait to see it on TikTok. I think that should do it again. Hans and Toby, thank you for coming on to talk about the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Can't wait to hear and see about this year and see what the events will be like in the future.
Thanks for
Great.
having us.
Of
Thanks for
course.
having us, Wayne. Much appreciated.
Of course. And as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.